Hey, I'm Rick Bosley with the Bosley team. Thanks for watching. And the question we're going to answer today for you is, how do you find a good house to flip in today's market? How do you analyze it? What is the after repair value? How can you find it? How can you analyze the cost and guesstimates? Because in this competitive market, you've got to move fierce, you've got to move fast. So if you want to flip, here's going to be the strategies and foundational tips you want to hear to be successful. Thanks for listening.
And what is that strategy? So let's dive into that a little bit. If someone's been intrigued with getting into the real estate market, I want to stay in the flipping conversation today. Today is going to be about flipping. Do you have any flips going on right now, or do you have one in recent months that you can give us as kind of a testimony to and walk us through what you found and why it worked for you?
Another loaded question. Yes, I'm closing on one coming up next week. It is all the way down to the bare bones. I think there's opportunity there in terms of the flip side, right? So anytime I look at an investment deal, I want to look at multiple exit strategy, right? If I rehab this house and it doesn't sell for what I want, what is the rental market? If I wholesale it, what does that look like? So you got to have some different investment exit strategies out there. In terms of the supply out there, I mean, it's crazy. I average about one offer per week, right? In sending out offers, all cash offers, things like that. And I analyze anywhere from 3 to 10 properties every day, right? That's how I start my morning. Is I look at all these deals and see what kind of opportunities are out there. When it comes to the investment opportunity, I think everyone is throwing money into real estate, right? So everyone's throwing money into real estate right now because, not to get too technical and talk about the economics, but inflation is there. Federal Reserve went from $4 trillion to $7 trillion all in 1 year, and they're expecting it to go to 10 trillion.
So all the stimulation that we've had as a country and all the PPP as a country, all that's doing is increasing with the cost of milk and cost of gas and cost of houses. The inflation's happening there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you see is people are trying to throw their money into hard investments, income producing investments. So out of the 5 deals that I wrote this year, on the average, there was 10 to 15 other offers out there, going anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 over list price. So it's competitive as it stands right now. I think that you're going to see a little bit more supply. Once some of these forbearance come due. You got 6 months, 180 days. There are a lot of people still hurting out there. There are a lot of people still trying to list their house and, waiting for this COVID thing to end. I don't know if that answers all your questions. But,
I wrote a lot of notes here on the iPad, but let's chunk this down. So if you're listening out there and you want to do this, there's one number I don't have from you, but you said 3 to 10 properties a day you're looking at. Now, is this just online, or are you physically walking in houses?
I mean, a lot of it starts online, right? A lot of it starts online, and then you can analyze deals. I've been in this business long enough that I can look at a zip code. I can even go hyper local into the specific communities. Richmond Heights, I know they sell from 150 to 200 right now. Same thing with Pine Hills. The physical aspect of it, I think we live in a world that we don't physically have to be there anymore. We do closings, we do sight unseen. That's really the norm that we've been seeing.
So you have no problem writing an offer sight unseen if you can see enough data, there's enough tax information, there's enough pictures, the neighborhood. You have no problem going in there.
Absolutely not. And even markets I'm not 100% confident in.
Okay.
We wrote an offer in Merritt Island with one of the best realtors I've ever dealt with, Christine DeAngelis. She sent me a property. I have no idea what a Merritt Island is. I have no idea what I would put on a canal or the seawall was. What we submitted an offer. Unfortunately, we got outbidded, but that's to answer your question. I don't need to see it.
So with that, right, becomes risk. You haven't walked it. You don't know the smell, the feel, the touch. You haven't looked under the hood. Are you putting it in a inspection period, or if you do that, are you pretty much always going to lose because other people are waiving that?
Yeah, I mean, right now there are 0 inspection periods, right? It's the minimum is at least list, and I don't even think you're going to get looked at list. You're going to say, hey man, like I'm a cash offer. So is everyone else out there, right?
Yep.
Cash, people always feel like cash is going to get them what they want, and cash is what's holding them back, right? Rick, if I gave you $10 million today, can you go out and buy me $10 million worth of property?
Sure.
I think, it's got to be a list. It's got to be 0-day inspection. And it's got to be no contingency. And I don't even think that will get you a winner. Yeah, that's the very minimum of it.
We're gonna get back on that. I do want to get back to the work ethic and takes in terms of what it goes. So looking at up to 50 properties a week to write one. So 2% of the properties that you analyze get an offer. Well, anywhere from 8%, 2% to 8%. How many offers are you writing versus accepted? You've written 5 so far this year. How many have gotten accepted?
I got one accepted, but that was the end of towards last year.
Okay.
I like bigger, meaty deals, right? Everyone has their own investment mindset. I got a guy who does, 56 flips a year, but his margins are a lot lower than mine, right? He's okay with netting $5,000 to $10,000, right? That's not my level of comfort. If I'm going to do a deal, I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to spend my own money. It's got to be a little meatier, right? So my comfort level is I need to net X amount of dollars, and that number for me is 40,000. Have I made less on certain deals? Have I made more? Absolutely. But that's what really I shoot for me to go out there, put my team to work, put me to work, put my money to work.
Well, what I like about that is you give yourself a margin of error. If you go out there and you do see that sight unseen, no inspection, and you've got mold throughout the walls, and it might eat into some of your profit, and you only make 25,000 instead of 40, not what you wanted, yet you're still walking away with at least some sort of profit. So one of the tips out there, if you're listening as an investor or would like to become an investor, is choose your model. Are you going to do one a month, one a quarter, and with that, choose your income? How much time do you actually spend on site? I've seen you swing some sledgehammers, but I don't think I've seen you with a paintbrush in your hand. So you want to go out there for the demo and then you hand it over? Or talk to me about your actual involvement with your flips versus what you outsource.
I mean, I would tell you as a beginner investor or flipper, you got to know your stuff, right? So I think at the first one, I was out there painting, overseeing the crew, learning certain aspects of the business. As you get more comfortable with the people you work with, do you really need to be out there painting, right? Is that the highest and best use of your time, right? If you're going to hire somebody and you trust them to do the work, then there's no point of micromanaging them, right? So to answer your question, my next flip that I'm at, I pay in weekly visits just to see if there's any troubleshooting or things that I need to resolve.
Yep.
Those are the answers. Those are the things that vendors can't do, right? They can't say, hey man, like, do I need to move this wall? Or when they run into trouble or issues, finding solutions is tough for them. They're more as in, hey man, I need you to paint this wall blue.
Point and shoot. Yeah, they're going to point and shoot towards the told. They're not going to make a decision without your input, without your discretion for it there.
Right.
So what I'm hearing is you be involved, yet it doesn't mean you could show up, even if you wanted to be hyper involved, show up every day on your way to work and every day on the way home from work just to check in on it, not to micromanage. And that's even overkill, but that might be for the overzealous helicopter flipper, right?
Yeah, for me, I mean, there are some sites that I haven't even been to, right? There are some homes that I haven't even been to.
Yep.
I think that you just got to trust. You got to trust the process, and you got to trust the people and the people that you hired to actually do the job. So yeah, I like to see the progress and see where it's been and where it's going to go. I like the vision. So yeah, I'll stick my head in there every once in a while, but to micromanage them or oversee them, I don't think anyone enjoys that.
Which I appreciate. So Jason does have a question. Is there an optimal time of the year to flip a house? Does seasonality play effect with house flipping? What would you say if someone wanted to do just one this year? What would be the optimal time for them to get in the flip game?
So there's never a good time, right? And there's always a good time. And I think that it's all about The hardest part of this game is finding the deal, right? Life happens year round. People die, people get divorced, and it's not like they only die in the winter, right? So to answer your question, I think that you just consistently have to look at it and look for deals out there. Same way we look for buyers and sellers, but this is just another avenue. When you go out there, you start turning rocks. You never know what you're going to find underneath. But yeah, there's no optimal time.
No optimal time. Well, and you went back to your coined answer of there's never a good time, is always a good time. It's when the numbers make sense for you. So let's take a look. 50 properties gives you one offer. 5 offers gets you one deal. That's analyzing up to 250 properties to get one deal. Yep. And if you're looking to get 10, then for you, you've got to figure out, Twan or consumer, listen to this. Are you analyzing 2,500 properties this year in order to get your 10? And that's the work ethic. And I think a lot of people, they watch HGTV or they see this slide here and they're going, wow, that sounds like a really great thing. I want to play that game. Yet it's a job, and it's a commitment, and it's consistency, and it's when you see something, you can go and you can move quick. You don't have that gun shy. You don't have the urgency. Someone calls you up, said, I've got a house in Merritt Island. You say the numbers work, do it, right? And having that almost, the locked and loaded. You're ready to pull the trigger. I want to go back to your number. $40,000 per flip is your number. You're averaging more than that. When you listen to a lot of, read books or listen to other podcasts with a general rule of thumb, they're telling you buy the house, do your repairs, and do that for under 75% of the after repair value. And if the phrase is the ARV. Are those numbers working, or are you saying don't worry about percentages right now, figure out your profit number and work off of that?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of books out there, and depending on what you read, they say it's ARV minus 70% minus repairs. So if you go by that formula, I don't think you'll ever be able to land something. Yeah, so to me, there's...
Say that again for people who might be taking notes or driving. They're saying whatever you could sell it for after it's flipped, that's the after repair value, multiply that by 70%, that's what you're going to make, minus whatever repairs you've got, and that's the number that you offer. That's the winning formula, and your suggestion or your experience says that's a formula that will not win in this competitive market.
Yeah, I think that it's not going to work because it's too much competition out there. The supply is so low that I don't think anyone's going to give you a second look. So yeah, $100,000 house, you buy it, the 70% of 100,000 is 70 grand. If it needs 20 grand of work, it's 50 grand. So
half off,
right? So is there anybody out there giving you half off on houses today? I mean, I don't see it. If you guys see it, give me a call, but I don't see it.
I want to talk percentage-wise because, again, the analytical people out there, $40,000, what is your average price point of your 7 units, of your 7 properties that you bought?
That's a great question, Rick. I've never done the average. I know that out of all 7, it's $1.3 million worth of real estate. So what is that, about 200 grand?
Just shy of 200, yep.
So okay. I've done flips from a $400,000 flip in Windermere, which was my first one. And then I've also done 70,000 Pine Hill flips. So there's not a rhyme or reason. There's it goes back to, is this a good time? Is it a bad time? Is this the price point that I want? Is it not? It's just my gut told me that there's some opportunity there and I could make money there.
Well, and 200,000, just curious, is that when you buy it or the ARV?
When I buy it. The ARV is closer to like 1.7. So when you take 1.7 and you subtract 1.3, it's with a net of that 300,000 that we were talking about.
So if we wanted to put a percentage around it, just at least as a baseline to bounce off of it, your average buy is 20, your average income is 46, you are at 23%. So if you buy it for 100, it might be you're making 23,000. If you buy it for 200, you're making 46,000. Maybe the one in Windermere that you bought for 400, you made 86,000. Is that as simple as that, or does it never quite work out that way? Or when I say that, does that sound pretty true?
It really never works out that way, right? So the house that I made the most money off of, I only paid 100 grand for it, right? And it sold for 200. The Windermere flip I bought for 350, and my exit was 425. So yeah, I don't look at it in terms of averages, and I know you love that, but I never average out, what each house cost and what I make off.
Well, I'm looking for the analytical people. If they look at it, how do they know it's a good deal? You're saying forget average percentages and just say, what would you like to make in profit? Can you do it on this house? Number one. Number two, if you can't, can you make cash flow if you have to hold on to it, make this thing a rental? And what does that look like?
Thanks for watching. If you liked what you heard, that was a segment of a full interview. You can take a look at our playlist, which is above, or another link to the same interview about what makes this a good market to flip. If you like what you heard, like, subscribe, comment. We'll see you soon. Thanks again.